You spend hours studying, but by the next day, almost 70% of it is gone. Frustrating, right? But it's not your fault. Your brain is designed to clear out anything it thinks you don't need. But here's the thing. Tibetan monks memorize thousands of pages, hundreds of scriptures, and they remember it for life, without using any apps, highlighters, or Ali Abdaal productivity tips. All they use is rhythm, discipline, and techniques that actually work. But what's their secret? Your teacher never told you this, but the reason you forget things isn't because you're lazy. It's just the method you use is shit. Traditional study techniques like rereading and highlighting feel productive, but your brain just treats them like background noise. But be honest, how many times have you stayed up late, highlighting page after page, just to be completely blank during the exam? It's not your fault. It's neuroscience. There's something called the forgetting curve. Within 24 hours, your brain forgets 70% of what you learned. By day 3, it's practically gone. But what if you could hack your brain and break this cycle? Because Tibetan monks, they've been doing that for centuries. They broke the forgetting curve without even knowing its name. But to learn it, you don't need to shave your head or go live in a monastery. Because I've done the research for you. Here are 5 science-backed hacks that monks use to remember so many scriptures. Let's break them down one by one. 1. Active recall. Monks don't just read, they retrieve. Most people focus on input, like highlighting, rereading, or just making their notes look pretty. But Tibetan monks train their memory through output. They chant, debate, and teach it to others, over and over again. And every time they struggle to remember something, their brain reinforces the pathway. It's like your brain going to the gym, except you can't skip leg day. Because the more you go to failure, the better you remember the idea. The struggle is the signal. So here's what you gotta do. The next time you finish reading something, close your book, and then say out everything you remember. After that, review it. Do it again the next day and the day after that. At first, it'll feel awkward. You'll blank out at certain parts or feel completely lost. But that's good, because that's the monk technique working. 2. Scripture mapping. This one's powerful, but no one ever talks about it. Monks don't just remember words, they remember where they saw them, like on the top left of the book, or right after the smudge at the side. And it's not by accident. They use a technique called spatial anchoring, where they train their brain to remember locations, not just words. And here's why it works. Your brain's spatial memory system is older than language itself. We used it to navigate caves, forests, and mark territory long before language was even a thing. And as a result, your brain evolved to remember where things are, not paragraphs of text. So the next time you want to remember something, don't just memorize the words. Try looking at the layout of it, where the words are on the page, what comes before and after. Then close your eyes and imagine seeing the page in front of you. By doing this, you turn passive reading into spatial memory, and your brain starts to walk the page, not just read it. That's how monks remember entire scriptures, cover to cover. But before we continue, just know this. What you're hearing right now is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole system behind these techniques that monks have used for centuries, and I break it all down inside my exclusive course, but more on that soon. 3. Spaced repetition. Tibetan monks don't just cram mantras in one day, they follow a specific rhythm. They chant the same verses in the morning, afternoon, and again at nighttime. And they do it not as a tradition, but for retention. Why? Because timing matters more than time. When you review something right before you're about to forget it, your brain locks it in 4 times deeper than just mindless revision. And this isn't something new. Productivity books like Make It Stick and Moonwalking with Einstein talk about it. But here's the thing. The reason why so many people ignore it is because spaced repetition doesn't feel like progress. There's no dopamine hit, no sense of mastery. It either feels too easy or too slow. But that's the good part, because under the surface, your memory is being reinforced over and over, without the traditional burnout feeling. So how do you apply it? Let's say you learn a concept today. You don't just study it once and then walk away. You look at it again at the end of the day, then 2 days later. Each time, just space it out a little longer. And each session doesn't really need to be long. All you need is just 5 minutes. Because what matters is the timing, not the duration. That's why monks don't cram mantras. Instead, they revisit it again and again until it becomes a part of them. 4. The state of Shamatha. Mastery isn't just about memory, it's about the state too. In Tibetan monasteries, monks train in Shamatha, a state of focused calmness where their mind becomes sharp, clear, and undisturbed. Before they open a book, the monks sit back. With their eyes low and breath steady, they let their minds settle down first. This helps filter the noise around them. And why does this work? Because your brain can't absorb anything if it's scattered. Studies show that spending just 2 minutes on deep, rhythmic breathing slows down mental clutter. This also activates the networks responsible for attention and memory. It literally primes your brain for deep learning. So if you want to lock in for a session, don't just go straight into study mode. Take a moment, sit up, and take in deep breaths. That's all you need to shift your state. And the more you do it, the faster your mind learns to switch it on. 5. Memory trials. Monks don't just sit down and study. They put their memory to the test. Every day, they're quizzed out loud, where a senior monk asks a question and the junior has to answer immediately, with no notes and no hesitation. Sometimes it's just a call and response, but other times it can turn into a full-on debate, where you have to question, answer, challenge, and defend. You've got to actually prove you understand it. And here's why this works. First, you're not just passively reading information, you're retrieving it. And retrieval is what strengthens the memory. Every time you pull something out of your brain, without any help, that memory gets reinforced. Secondly, you're saying it out loud. That forces your brain to structure the idea first, without hiding behind fuzzy thoughts or a vague memory. You also need to organize your thoughts fast. This makes your memory more vivid and stable. Third, it makes your brain live and active. Things like debates put you under pressure, which kicks you out of your comfort zone. It also brings a sense of urgency. And that stress is what makes your brain focus harder, helping you lock the memory in deeper. So here's how you use it. After you study something, don't just read it to yourself. Test yourself out loud. Imagine yourself explaining it to someone who doesn't understand. Or just get someone to quiz you, unless you don't have any friends. That's a problem for another video. Say out the answer as if you're trying to prove a point and not just mumbling it. That's how monks train their memory. Because when you can recall information under pressure, you'll never forget it. But the choice is yours. You can keep highlighting notes and forgetting them like always, or start studying like the monks do. And you don't need to get a robe or an altar to do it. All you need is practice, because it's not about learning hacks. It's about practicing rituals that train the mind. But this is just a glimpse. Because for centuries, monks have designed an entire system, layer by layer, to turn memory into something precise, powerful, and long-lasting. A framework that was etched into their daily life, so that remembering thousands of mantras stopped being a struggle and became second nature. A system I call the Dharma of Memory. This isn't just a course. It's a way to pass down the ancient techniques that these monks have used for years, rebuilt for the modern mind. The top 1% of students won't just watch this and scroll on. They'll try it and learn from it. The question is, will you?